Solving complex problems requires the perspectives and contributions of many disciplines to succeed. As a convergence research center, STEPS brings together researchers across many knowledge areas to tackle phosphorus sustainability. For example, we have crop scientists, environmental engineers, materials scientists, economists, plant and soil scientists, policy researchers, and many more. We all have to work together effectively to address the problem. But because we come from different disciplines, we think about and approach our work very differently. Every discipline has its own shared language, including common terms and their definitions, common methods and ways of measuring things, including units, instruments, and techniques, and common frames of reference, such as scales, examples, and values. And these all allow researchers and practitioners in the same field to communicate easily with each other. Shared knowledge bases allow us to work efficiently. Each discipline is different, though, in the way they think about problems and address solving them. Different fields have different methodologies, terms, and frames of reference. And this is where communication across disciplines can break down. If we talk past each other or around each other, we won't make forward progress together. In part 2 of this module on principles of effective communication, we will describe problems you may encounter as a STEPS scholar and share strategies to talk effectively with center participants from across different disciplines. The first problem that can occur is lacking common ground. When we lack common ground in a conversation, we can talk in ways that are unclear for other people. Our audience may not understand what we are trying to say or may interpret what we mean differently than we intend. For example, in STEPS, many of us use models in our research. However, this term has widely varying meanings across different disciplines. And we can't assume everyone will know how we're using the term in our presentations. An economist might use the word model to mean a simplified framework to analyze and understand economic phenomena. A biologist might use the word model and instead mean something that represents a biological system, process, or relationship that helps them understand and predict biological phenomena. And if an environmental engineer says the word model, they mean how they can simulate interactions within ecosystems and predict environmental changes. None of these people is wrong in their use of model, but they can miscommunicate if they don't remember that someone from a different discipline defines that term differently. So, the first strategy to working effectively together is to establish common ground around terms, methods, and other details of your work. We can't assume others will understand because each discipline has its own mental model. Instead, consider whether you should first define your term when you use it, or replace your jargon entirely with a more accessible version that all disciplines would understand. Jargon means a term that is used within a specific area of expertise, like crop science, materials science, or policy, but would likely be unclear to people who don't have training in that discipline. For example, if you are a materials scientist, other materials scientists might understand what you mean when you say quenching, but others in your team may not. Jargon can be a barrier to clear communication. The second problem we encounter when working across disciplines is having muddy goals. Muddy goals mean that because each discipline uses different methodological approaches and defines knowledge differently, we may have contrasting views on what it means to design an experiment, answer a research question, or build consensus. For example, some disciplines rely on empirical evidence from experiments to define knowledge, while other disciplines may emphasize theoretical frameworks for situating knowledge. If your discipline defines knowledge differently than others on your team, You may have contrasting views on what it might mean to approach and solve a problem. It's important when working in a convergence research team that you take the time to discuss the varying perspectives and determine how, as a team, you will define the problem, methods, and success of a project. For instance, it is important that your team in steps discuss what your data might look like and how you might handle different data types from varying sources. The third problem we encounter is we can get too deep in the weeds when describing our work to others in different fields. Remember, each discipline has a different mental model, and for STEPS participants not in your field, a thorough dive into the methods you used for your work won't help them understand what you found. Instead, we want to focus on communicating the priority items effectively. What problem did you examine, and why is it important? How does this contribute to STEPS? And finally, how does this contribute to our work on phosphorus sustainability? The final problem we can encounter when communicating across disciplines is thinking that our disciplinary binoculars give us the best view. That is, we can focus too much on our own narrow view of a topic and forget the way others see and understand the topics we're discussing. When we focus only on what we know and not what others know, we will not be successful in sharing our message. Effective communication starts by considering what the audience knows about our topic and gradually builds understanding toward the point we're trying to communicate. The solution is STEP's focus on epistemic humility, or acknowledging that there are many ways to see and understand the world, that our disciplines do not have a monopoly on solving a particular problem, but that other ways of knowing can and should also contribute. In summary, for convergence research, we must remember to talk with each other in ways that consider what other disciplines know.